This is ESBR Boxing. Delighted to be joined by Jamie Conlan. Jamie, we're 2 days away now from Saturday night. Massive card in Belfast. This is what we want to see, isn't it?
It is. It's another big night here in Belfast. When I was boxing, when I was a pro, shows like this were few and far between. Opportunities to fight in the SSC, especially on your debut, were near non-existent. It's a great change in Irish boxing, and it's a great change in Belfast boxing, where we have continuous opportunities with big broadcasters, big promoters, everyone getting behind it, and big nights. It was 5-6 weeks ago we had Queensberry and TNT Sports here, and now we're here, and again, I think it was 2,000 or 4,000 here. It shows that the depth and the quality in the city and in the island in whole is massive.
And is it about bringing fighters through? Obviously, as you mentioned there's loads of fighters on this card making their debut. Only a couple of fights into their pro career as well. Is this kind of like, this is a massive stage for them to build their name, and then who knows, in a few years' time they'll be the ones headlining in the SSC.
Well, it's something different that we've gone out and done for this one. We've 5 debutants. It's rare you see 5 debutants on a show. 2 most likely will be live on TV, and then the rest will be on the undercard. Be filmed a bit, but it's an opportunity for all these guys to kind of go out and put their marker down, build their career. I made my own debut as a live float in the SSC arena on Martin Rogan against Sam Saxton, and that kind of gave me a massive platform for the rest of my career. This could be a massive platform for all these kids making their debuts, and it's exciting because when it is your debut, you see them up there, they're young, fresh-faced, enthusiastic, green to the whole game, but everything's exciting. Everything is an opportunity. They look at boxing in a different way. They're only kind of transition from the amateur game to the professional game, and they're realising it's more of a business now, and they're promoting themselves and they're doing all that. It's really good. It's refreshing to see.
Obviously, the full stacked undercard, but the 3 main fights, I think, looking at it from a neutral perspective, you kind of look at that and think, you could build them as 3 50-50s as well. Obviously, we know the narrative with Mimoune and Mckenna, and Aston Brown, Fergus Quinn, another cracker, Dylan Moran, obviously coming off that loss, a big name as well, and Owen O'Neill stepping up. 3 really, really competitive fights at the top of the card.
Yeah, and we lost, I think, the People's co-main event in really far on Gerard Hughes, which had a great history, rematch, revenge, and both lads don't like each other, so it's something we like to do. In case we do lose one, you still have a stacked card and you're still able to provide for the fans, because that's what it is. Whoever wins and loses will always get an opportunity again because they've took this opportunity, so we'll try and stick by. And being a former fighter, you have to empathise a wee bit with the fighters. You're taking a massive risk, you're taking a massive opportunity. It's probably easy. It's easy from the outside for me to go, want to take this fight, yes, and then forgetting about you when you lose. It's not, from the fighter's point of view, that's your world, that's your life. So if we're able to stand with them, stand by them and give them more opportunities going forward, that's kind of how we like to play the game. They took a risk on our show. We should have them have their back for the next time.
Absolutely. I do want to touch on your brother as well. Obviously, Mick couldn't be here today, but he was kind of humming in hand whether he should go on. It seems like I think he said one last throw of the dice was the way he put it. Where are we with that from his brother's perspective, and obviously a promotional perspective as well? Is there opponents lining up? What's the plan there with Mick?
I think he's speaking with Frank Smith at the minute about what the potential for the timeline is. I think he's nailed down on a coach. He's in Ibiza at the minute with our sponsor Monterex and Leon Edwards. So they're out there having in Belder's only the DJs. They're having like some kind of summer wind down or whatever, and then he'll be straight back into camp and trying to figure out what the timeline is. But he's just figuring all out at the minute and kind of seeing how long, where to kind of go, what's the situation look like, and what's the options looking like. But I think 1 or 2 kind of getting back for the feel of it. Somewhere in someone's undercard, probably preferably. Take the pressure off him. He carries a lot of big pressure here in Belfast, carries a lot of big shows here in Belfast. So if he can go on someone's undercard and kind of dust things off and find himself and get back to winning ways, and then come back for a big attack on the featherweight division.
Just about to ask you there, but is it going to be featherweight? Did you definitely see him being a featherweight? And coach-wise, you mentioned that he's nailed down a coach. Is that something you can tell us?
No, it's something for him to say, but I think he's locked it in. I think he's sorted. I know he was really torn because he really is like 2 coaches, both personally and professionally.
I was talking to Gerard Hughes there. Obviously, as you mentioned, he's gutted not to be on the bill, but there was talk of that fight being rearranged, and Kind of heard some rumours maybe potentially about Lewis Crocker and Paddy Donovan. That's been talked about endlessly over the past year, so it seems like Eddie Hearn wants to talk about it. Frank Smith talks about it. You've probably been asked about it about a million times. Are we any closer to seeing that fight before the end of the year? It's a massive fight for Irish boxing if it was to happen.
Well, Croc will fight before the end of the year. Who, I'm not overly sure. We would like to do Paddy. I spoke to Frank Smith this morning about Guy Isoff. We spoke about another route, but I think everyone likes the Paddy fight as well, and it's something we're exploring. Our issue is finding the home for it, getting dates that match with the zone and match with the arenas here. It's something that both lads want. It's something that the fans want here, and I think before Christmas would be ideal.
If that was to happen next, is it the venue that would probably be the biggest stumbling block? Obviously, Lewis would want it here. Paddy probably want it in Limerick. Where is that the main stumbling block for that fight maybe going forward?
I don't think anyone's exploring the Limerick option. I think they're just exploring here, potentially Dublin, potentially elsewhere. But that's the one. Getting the dates and the arenas to kind of line up is key. I don't think after that anything will be an issue. I think we're all kind of on board for the same kind of fights. If not, we have two other options that we're looking at and speaking with Matchroom about and seeing what can be done.
And just finally, coming back to this show, Jamie, why should everyone tune into the Zone on Saturday night to watch this cracking card?
I think pound for pound, quality ways, it's one of the best in Britain in the last few weeks of the year. 50-50 fights across the board, local rivals, local derbies, opportunities for people who's going to make their debut that we're going to see for the next 10 years, and then a rematch that was highly controversial, highly aggressive. They hate each other, they dislike each other, and they only know one way to prove it. They're going to stand in the middle of the ring on Saturday night and beat 10 lumps of shade at each other.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for talking to us, Jamie. Pleasure as always.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much.